So this is the broadcast tool here, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see in all its glory. You can see the notation. You can also see the engine evaluation next to each move, and also how long they spend.
What I like is you can make your own moves on the board. You can check the alternatives to what the players did. And even for the moves you make, you get the computer evaluation here.
Fantastic.
I think you get it quicker and better as a premium member, such as yours truly. What I also like, there is a chat function. You can exchange things with people from all over the world. If you want to see something else, let's say you're watching a tournament and you want to see all the games at once, no problem displaying. I have no idea how many games there are, like 128 games at the same time. You can do even more. This is a team competition. You click on multi-board.
That's beautiful.
You can see all the 8 games going on at once.
You can see the games and standings, which
What we got? I'll click around. Games and standings here.
Yeah. Analysis, if we click on that tab,
Let's click on it.
You can see there, it's a great little graphical illustration. The red line is 0, that is the absolute even mark. And if the white bars go up, the further up they go, the bigger the advantage. And the black bars show a black advantage.
Then there is a database, and here we get the alternatives. And if we click on a move in the database, bam! It gets played on the board.
Fantastic. And then the PGN can even be downloaded.
I like that feature.
Yeah.
Whatever tournament or game you're following, you click it and you open it in the program of your choice.
Yeah, and one of the great things I like to see as well is when we get a video from the playing hall. I like to see them in their seats, nervous, you feel the tension, you feel like you're there, don't you?
Chess is really becoming a spectator's internet sport.
Great that we can see that. I also love to see the fact that we can get in some of our friends to join us during the broadcast. And it's all interactive, that's what we love. And
a lot of overview functions there.
A lot of great functions there, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you take advantage of all of them. Let's get back to the commentary.
Keep tweeting us, hashtag C24Live. We love to hear from you. Ask us anything, mainly about Lawrence Trent life, but if you have other questions, they're also welcome.
Also send us anything you like about Jan. Hashtag C24Live.
Absolutely.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Hello everybody, welcome to day number 4 of the Magnus Carlsen Invitational. It's the second day of round number 2, and we have 2 fun matchups. We have the world number 2 against the world number 3 in classical chess. Ding Liren is facing Fabiano Caruana, and we have the co-leaders, is that correct? The co-leaders of the current candidates tournament. Jan Nepomniachtchi is facing Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. So the creme de la creme is playing, and the bad news is I am not being joined on this commentary by the creme de la creme. We are now doing the pregame show that has been described as wooden snake oil salesmanship, unnecessary. Why is Lawrence Trent there? And all these questions are perfectly legit. Lawrence, we're not alone today. Is that going to improve the show or make it worse?
We're not. I think it's a major improvement, actually. And I'm delighted to announce that my old partner in crime, my friend from 10,000 kilometers away, and one of the greatest to come out of Delhi, is with us. Is that true? I guess you are. Tanya Sachdev is here. I know everybody is going to be excited that you're here today, Tanya. So thanks for coming.
Thank you for that intro, Lawrence. That was kind.
Yeah, that's the nicest intro you're ever going to get from me. What do you think, Tanya, today? MVL against Nepo, Ding against Fabi. It's quite a close call today, no?
Yeah, exciting matchups. I think for me, what's also really interesting is that it's with Ding Fabi and with Jan Nepo, we've got this sort of very similar styles sort of playing each other. It's not exactly a clash of styles, but more of a clash of who is better at a style. Like MVL and Jan are both extremely are players who enjoy complexities and calculation, fast and tactics, and most often we see lots of thrills in their games. And then we've got Fabi, Ding, also extremely solid, strategic, technical players, very strong, of course. Do I have to say, I think Ding in faster, shorter time formats is probably stronger, but it's a sort of a chess version of who wore it better with the clash of styles.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but I kind of agree with you. I think MVL and Nepomniachtchi do have very similar styles, and Ding and Fabi maybe less so, but certainly they're very principled players. And I think the matches are going to be very close. Yeah, and I'll tell you who I've got, okay? I've got MVL beating Nepomniachtchi in a very, very tight match. And I've got, actually, I hate to say it because Fabi still is my boy, but I think Ding, after the candidates, this win against him, this is very unpleasant loss for Fabi. And Ding actually looked very good in this 15-minute format. So I actually think Ding wins today. I think Ding is a very unpleasant opponent for Fabi. And I've got MVL. Who have you got?
I believe MVL is doing extremely well against Nepomniachtchi usually. Somehow he knows how to handle Nepomniachtchi, and he does not allow Nepomniachtchi to get into his head with all this fast play and the antics and so on. MVL is immune to that. He's a fast player himself. He has a huge scoring classical. So I'm going with MVL in that one. I chose Fabi in the other match. I agree with most of the things you said, and it could go either way. But I have a feeling Fabi, he's industrious. He's getting up there at 7 in the morning. He's taking his shower. He's having his nutritious breakfast. Then he's ready to play at 9. He wants to show the world that he can play rapid chess, contrary to the narrative. Well, for Ding, it's 10 p.m. already over there in China. It's a giant time difference. He's going to be half asleep, and it's going to be tough for him if the match stays close. Game 4 at like 1 a.m. to hang with the rested Fabi. I think the time zone differences work in Fabi's favor today.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. As you guys know, of course, lots of things going on apart from the chess. We've got promotions all over the place for you guys. And today's special promotion, it's a bit of an interesting one, but you can get 50% off Jan Ludwig's Hammer's 1e4 repertoire on Chess24. Using the code Invitational. But if you're really super duper smart, which of course, judging by the comments in Twitch and on Chess24, everybody clearly is, you would actually just get the premium membership for Chess24. Why? Because then you would have access to this series in any case, and you can use the code Stay at Home to get 40% off the Chess24 premium membership, thereby gaining access to Jan Ludwig Hammer's series. However, if you just want to go for Jan Ludwig Hammer series, which I think is depriving yourself of good value, then you can use the code Invitational 1e4. And I can just speak a little bit about Jan Ludwig Hammer.
Please do.
He is somebody Jan knows extremely well.
much more than me, but I can tell you that he is a very well-respected chess player, theoretician, worked with Magnus for many years, knows his stuff, puts a lot of, effort into all of his work, and I think the series is going to serve a lot of you very well. I mean, it's a 1e4 series for all of you e4 players. People like me, people like Peter Svidler, not people like Jan Gustafsson, who's never played e4, Tanya Sachdev, not such a big e4 player herself, to be fair. But, if you want to play the real chess.
So do I need that series if I've already studied your Trompovsky series that I can also watch as a premium member on Chess24?
Yes, you can. You do need it. And have you ever thought about switching over to 1e4, Jan? Because
honestly, I have. In the old days, all these Sicilians were always too scary because it feels very hard to catch up on open Sicilians if it's not in your blood, if you didn't, become a hacker as a kid. Nowadays, you can play some nice chicken lines like Bishop b5 check or the Rossolimo that I feel are not so foreign to me. So if I wasn't old and washed up, nowadays I think I would be adding 1e4 as a tournament player. The problem is I don't play any tournaments. Even the Thailand Open got cancelled. What is left, Lawrence? Only online chess.
Well, we've got all the stuff here on Chess24, plenty of online tournaments, Banter Blitz as well. Let's talk about that. Niels did one yesterday. If you want to play against Niels Grandelius, Jan Gustafsson, Magnus Carlsen.
There's a big one upcoming.
Anish Giri.
Anish Giri, tomorrow, 2 p.m. I can't
Anish
wait.
Giri.
CEST.
One of the participants of this tournament, one of the greatest of, well, probably I guess he's the best Dutch player ever after.
Timman, Uwe, Luc van Wely. There's a lot of debate there, mainly coming from Luc van Wely.
I think if you're looking purely from a statistical perspective, crossing 2,800, there's a good claim for Anish to be the strongest ever, even if he's not the most accomplished Dutch player ever in terms of titles and what he's won. But in terms of pure chess strength, there's an argument there. Anyway, he's going to be on Chess24. You want to play him? You want a shot to beat the Dutch #1? Get yourselves premium membership.
Tanya, are you still with us? Because I normally zoom out after Lawrence has been talking for more than 30 seconds. So I'm not blaming you.
Look, we've got
at all.
They brought.
Have you followed the tournament?
His marketing rant to finish, but I actually think it's also probably a great time to challenge Anish tomorrow, considering the fact that this tournament hasn't gone that great for him. So he's kind of struggling in these shorter time controls now. Catch them when you can.
He's been shockingly bad. I understand he's not a rapid specialist and it will take him a little to adjust and so on. But it's been really bad, especially these first 2 games against Maxime, where he looked outclassed. He was lost out of the opening with the white pieces. And against Nakamura, also in the first match, in the first game, he just got completely crushed and the match never felt close. Grischuk said yesterday, if Anish continues playing like this, he might not win a game, not a match, but not a game in this tournament. So Anish, get it together. I'm still rooting for you.
Well, tomorrow's Banter Blitz might be some good practice for him. And I was thinking about your predictions, actually. So both of you picked Fabi over Ding, no, for today's match?
No, Lawrence picked Ding, but I also zoomed out right after he said that.
No, I think, I hate to say this as well, but I think I agree with Lawrence. Yeah, I would pick Ding in that matchup. And with MVL and Jan, I think Maxime's going to be the one who's going to get through this one as well. But I'm very excited to watch the Jan-Maxime match because I think it's going to be super duper fun, actually, just with their style of play. And the last time they played, was that the last real match both of them played, the one in the candidates?
I would guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your 2 leaders of the candidates and your 2 pre-tournament favorites of the candidates playing each other today. So that should be fun to watch.
Very much so. As usual on this show, we will be joined by Peter Svidler, who's there already, but we keep him muted because we have to give Lawrence more screen time. But Peter Svidler will join us once the games begin. And there might be a Magnus Carlsen sighting. There might be an Alexander Grischuk sighting. You never know with these 2 guys. They are, of course, very shy, very busy men, but they might show up on the show. Lawrence, what happened yesterday in the Magnus match?
I was just about to say, well, It was the most highly anticipated match of the tournament. Alireza Firouzja, a phenom from Iran, now living in France, playing Magnus, and everybody who's been following chess knows that Alireza has actually gotten the better of Magnus in their recent encounters. Alireza beating Magnus in the Chess24 Banter Blitz Cup. And as Magnus confirmed after the match finished, he wanted to crush Alireza. He didn't just want to beat Alireza, he actually wanted to crush him. And that wasn't the case. He got some fantastic positions in the match. Magnus won game one very easily. Should have won game two, had a very, very nice position with black. But Alireza, always resourceful, always tricky, always slippery, found a way to trick Magnus, win game two. And then even in game three, after getting slightly outplayed, there was a moment for Alireza. He played this move, bishop f5, could have played c2 instead of bishop f5 with a better position in game three. I'm not sure how much we went over that in the commentary.
Let's show the highlights very briefly. This on the screen right now is game number 2, where Magnus had a good position, could just have kept pushing his a-pawn. But instead, he went for the kill with rook to d2, and Alireza countered by playing rook b8, king h7, queen g4, with the devious and unstoppable threat of queen g6, which Magnus said he saw, but he just thought queen f1 check was checkmate. However, no such thing after rook g2, and queen g6 will just decide the game.
Yeah, beautiful queen sacrifice checkmate.
And in game number 3, I'm not quite sure what moment you were talking about. But
black played bishop f5. Let's put that on the board. Yeah, around here, queen b6. So black played bishop f5, but the move c2 here was actually surprisingly strong. The point being that if you play now rook b2, which looks like the logical move, black has got the very nasty queen a6. And all of a sudden, white's pieces are lacking a bit of coordination. Knight takes b4, queen takes e2 is very unpleasant for white. Sorry, knight takes b4, a takes b4. That's the point. Knight takes b4, a takes b4 is very unpleasant because we hit, yeah, and that's a double attack. And if you go queen d3, yeah, but we're queening with a2, yeah. And if you go queen d3 in this position, after a b4, queen d3, you can just exchange queens and play b3. And all of a sudden, you've got two pawns. You have to calculate some stuff, of course, but my feeling is that this is good for black. And if you don't do this, if you play a move like knight f4 instead of knight takes b4, then you run into bishop c4. And I think black is better here. You keep hold of this pawn. White's pieces are a bit weird.
Still, I would argue, even though I'm sure all this is true, that this is a bit of a random tactical chance and that Magnus dominated this strategic play in that match.
No question.
Will still not be happy with himself because he won the match, but as he said, he wanted to crush him. And I think he is thinking about the future. Grischuk yesterday was talking about this Kramnik-Kasparov relationship where Kasparov had decided Kramnik is the next world champion and he found it hard to beat him in a match maybe because of that. And Magnus, he's a shrewd psychologist, I would assume. So I guess he wanted to send a message, kid, this is still a different level of play. Even though he won the match, I'm not sure that message came across.
Yeah, he is a master of psychology, and he does manage to make sure that he doesn't go into a match under any sort of, I don't know how to put it. He does impose himself in that sense. I think that's very important. I think that's something that some of the other players have to learn to do better, actually. There is a feeling, I get a feeling that they treat him with just a little bit too much respect. A little bit more contempt from these players, a little bit more, I don't know how to say it. Obviously, not taking anything away from his chess abilities. Everybody knows he's the best player in the world and probably of all time. But the point is, don't fall for his psychological tricks. And I hope he's watching because I'm coming for him one day. I've not given up yet. I've not given up.
That is the one quality you have. I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but no matter what the world throws at you, you just stick around. Before we get into the action, let's maybe address one of the most important questions. If let's start with Tanya, maybe. If you were quarantined with one of the players in this Magnus Carlsen Invitational, what would your choice be?
Good question. Fantastic question.
Good question.
This will reveal a lot about Tanya's character, this answer.
With the ones playing in the Magnus Invitational, okay.
Yeah, you can't choose Lawrence.
I can't.
Yeah.
I think I would. This is a really hard question, and I hate that I have to go first because it gives me very little time to think. But maybe I would pick. I think I would pick Maxime.
Interesting.
I think Maxime is one. He's a really nice guy. I think you know, also whatever I've seen of him in tournaments. He's got varied interests. You can play card games with him. You can play chess with him. You can blitz him. He's always nice. He's never trying to like, he never passes comments about, you know, about girls playing chess, which is very nice of him. And he's always very, very supportive of it. Whenever you see him on the stream, you'll notice that as well. He can teach a bit of French. I think it would be easy to pass time with somebody like Maxime without losing your shit. Am I allowed to say shit on air?
Yeah, please keep it coming. Lawrence, who would you choose?
I would probably choose Jan Nepomniachtchi.
I know that's not your real answer.
No,
so
it is.
Please take this seriously.
No, it's kind of is, because he's got this gorgeous man bun and I'd like to twirl my fingers through it on a daily basis. Again, my serious answer.
Lawrence, how long can you actually twirl your hands around someone's hair? So you have to find somebody who's sustainable for a long-term lockdown.
A long-term lockdown. They've all got hair, so that's not the issue. Who would I really? I guess I've got to choose my boy Fabi, right? Because I've effectively been on lockdown with him already. I've lived in the same quarters with him for weeks on end, and you know, he's got very good taste in movies.
But the real question is, would Fabi choose you?
Would Fabi choose me? Nah. But you know, he's also, you know, he can cook nowadays. He's matured. He's a good chess player. We can play a lot of blitz. He likes playing a lot of blitz. Good movies. Likes to hang out, have fun in the kitchen. You know, that sort of stuff.
I do not know. I'm torn. I believe Fabi has a lot going for him, like all this stuff you just mentioned. He seems very laid back, and you wouldn't have arguments with him. You can talk about Game of Thrones and all that kind of stuff. Maxime, I don't know. He's too much into gambling and into action. I feel like he'd be too fast paced for me. Well, Fabi would just chill on the couch. Magnus, of course, is an interesting choice. My problem is Fabi. I would not be afraid to, you know, to make some jokes. I don't want to use Tanya's very crude language here, but to talk some BS with. Well, Magnus, I'm still a bit respectful of after all these years.
No,
so I'm
Magnus
not sure.
is a terrible choice.
Yeah,
This is an awful. He's the worst because you lose.
No, he's not the worst.
You lose at everything,
Who
Tim.
is the worst? That's the big question here.
You want to lose consistently in every game you ever play?
That's the problem. He's very competitive, and he would probably crush me because he's also smarter and better and stuff. I think Ding is a decent choice. It might be a bit of a language barrier, but he seems very mellow, very laid back. And Fabi is a great choice. Anish Giri would, I think, be a pretty good choice. We get along very well. My problem is he's not into pop culture, so he'd just be bored by all my Netflix and movies and nonsense. And I can't look at chess all day, Anish. We just can't do that. So it's tough. Let's bring in an expert, not just on this topic, but on chess as well. Peter Svidler, can we unmute him? Or because I can't do it. Someone unmute Peter. Who would you pick? Also, hello.
Hello, everybody. And you're just assuming I've been listening to your prattle for these last.
It's your same question I always have. You're quarantined with one of the players. Who do you pick?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, considering my main interest in life currently appears to be video games for whatever reason, on that metric alone, it has to be Jan. But let's just stick with that. Yeah, why not?
Interesting.
Fair enough. So nothing to do with his.
There are questions about Hikaru. I have to admit, I don't know Hikaru that well. The new Hikaru, I think we can say, seems very mellow, very laid back, has a lot of interest in multiple topics, so he might be a good choice. I don't know Hikaru very well.
I feel like Hikaru and Magnus would be very, very difficult to spend a lot of time with because they'll just make you feel bad about everything that you do. Like you'll just not live up to the standards ever. And to be locked down or locked in with such people would just make life unbearable. I mean, I think it would be great to spend a little bit of time with them. You could learn a lot, but I think when you're in a lockdown, like you said, you want somebody who's easygoing and you can do different things with or share interests with, and might be hard with someone like Magnus and Hikaru.
I don't know about Magnus, because he knows a lot of random stuff, and he's also into like dumb wordplay and that kind of nonsense. So he certainly has his pluses as well. It's a very close call. Did we not discuss anybody at all? Because I feel bad if we're leaving anybody out here.
Ali Reza didn't really.
Ali Reza, yeah, he's just too young. Like
he's
all
too
this
young
crude
to
language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right.
Also, his fashion sense, we would argue about like pants style all day long. Like that'd be a real issue.
All right. So we've got 2 minutes. Peter, we didn't get your opinion on today's matches very, very quickly before they start. Do you think they're going to be close?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will be close, but I think I'm probably taking MVL over Jan, based sort of exclusively on the extremely short sample of how they've done so far in this tournament. And Jan had been extremely unhappy with how his match against Fabi went. So, as we've discussed at the closing remarks yesterday, this does occasionally mean he starts sort of fighting fire with fire, and that doesn't always work well for him. But it should be extremely close, and the same applies to the 2 versus 3 battle. 2 extremely strong chess players, 2 players who are very clearly the 2 closest rivals Magnus has in classical chess, at least. Both aren't considered to be huge online specialists or huge specialists in rapid time controls. I think that leads to a lot of people underestimating them at this format, and should be very interesting to see how that plays out. I honestly don't even know how to pick there, and it might actually come down to what's better, 9 a.m. or 10 p.m. And I feel I don't know Ding well enough to know how well he handles playing.
Ding is an early bird.
Then I think I genuinely think this might be a bit of an influence in this match, and then Fabi kind of edges it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter, you mentioned that Nepomniachtchi likes to fight fire with fire sometimes. Shouldn't he be pouring oil on the fire, as he might get paid for the oil nowadays? Lawrence, how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know how it bounced today, but. Yeah, madness yesterday. Apparently things are still completely nuts. Don't get involved in that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna. I'm just thinking: is there gonna be some kind of collapse by one of these guys? Is somebody just? We haven't seen a whitewash yet, right? We haven't seen a 4-0. We've seen a few 3-1s, but we haven't seen a complete destruction. I'm wondering, are we going to get, the world is getting weirder and weirder, and I'm just wondering whether we might get one of those weird.
There's actually only been 1 3-1 score in the entire tournament.
I thought there were 2 3-1s, but
no.
Right.
Yeah, only it's only the Maxim match against Stanish, right, which started by a 2-0 margin, and then Maxim just very professionally, as we were discussing live on air, very professionally just steered the remaining two towards safety.
All right, guys, we have liftoff. We have a
We do have liftoff. Yeah.
Slav Rati hybrid in game number 1. MVL keeps experimenting with openings that I like to call non-Grunfelds, which I would say is personal growth, and they have one of the sharpest lines known to man here on the board after knight c4. If you take on e2, knight e5, this can
and he has
really
already
mess.
taken on e2, and this is very exciting to see. It is one of the messiest and one of the most fun lines of the whole Reti complex. Lots of theory connected to this, obviously. I think this position also exists with the inclusion of a4, a5, if I'm not entirely wrong, right?
Yeah, even though with the inclusion of a4, a5, black usually doesn't go for this, and then
exactly. And I wanted to say, I think with a4 and a5 on the board, this works out better for white. This one, I have a feeling I have at some point looked at this, but I can't really remember any conclusions. I'm sure Jan would know.
I do know, and it's a lot of fun what's happening. Rook e1, h6, and white sacrifices a whole piece for, long-term compensation. Knight takes f7, bishop f7, now the move b4. If I hadn't seen this before, I'd be more shocked, but I have seen b4 before, and this gives a very, very strong long-term attack, even though it is modern chess, so the question will be, who knows this better?
Wow.
Black is a whole piece up. B4,
black is an entire piece up now, and the compensation white has here is based, I think, in large part on the fact that the black pawn is on h6. With the pawn on h7, this position would have been completely dead, because black could just play something like bishop g5, and queen g6, which is mate currently, would have been a move that loses a queen. But with the bishop completely stuck on f7 and not capable of blocking the monster on g2, white is quite clearly playing to play b5. I mean, he declared his intentions very, very clearly here. He wants to break up that diagonal and to get the bishop on g2 playing an even larger part in the game. And
look at Nepomniachtchi. Sacrifice a piece, plays b4, a4, and could not be more relaxed. Leaning back there in his gamer's chair, zipping his coffee, small smile on his face, living the life.
And an extremely sharp position by move 6 in the second game as well. I'm very excited by today.
Oh, knight f3, d5, g3, and Fabiano goes for knight c6, which I thought was a bit of a Laurent Fressinet specialty. Provoking white to play d4, and we transpose to some sort of Chigorin. Bishop f5 here, not bishop g4, bishop g2.
Yeah, bishop g4 is what Fress did. It was also recently discussed in the machine versus machine match, and I think black scored 0 points out of those two games. So yeah, that line only Fress can play. Even the supercomputers are completely incapable of understanding what to do there, but Fress is the master of those things.
This is a fun little sequence. Knight b4, knight a3, knight c6 back, saying, you know what, I will take your knight if you keep it there. He says, no, don't take it. Goes knight b1.
Yeah.
Knight b4, and now he deviates by playing c4.
Yeah. That's actually quite curious because instead of knight c6, strong players, I mean, I think Vichy did this against me at least once, have played moves like c6 and h6 in this position as well, after knight a3. So knight c6 is not necessarily forced. But it's a cute little dance that Fabi has executed there. And now, I guess in the current position, the idea is to play knight h4. I don't really see what else is there. And it kind of makes me wonder why, what is Ding considering? Because if it's not knight h4, I'm quite confused.
Also, if you're Ding, if you don't know this, do you blitz out c4, you give the rook, and then you start thinking?
Yeah.
I think there's 0 chance he hasn't looked at this. But yeah, it's a bit strange to me that the move is not forthcoming yet, because, well, obviously, to state the bloody obvious, the rook is hanging on a1, and you have to win something for it. And knight h4 with the intention of meeting knight takes a1 by taking on f5, taking on d5, and then probably having plenty of time to pick up the knight on a1 at your leisure.
Yeah.
Is I assume what is the plan here. Or you could maybe make an argument for bishop takes d5, but I think c takes d5 looks a little bit more natural. But he goes cd instead.
What?
knight takes a1, and now what exactly?
If I take
e4? Or just d? If he goes d here, this is just tremendously exciting chess. Bishop b1, ef, and king f7, and now some move. I don't know, bishop g5 or knight e5 check first. Or
He's
and
played
DE
DE.
played, yeah.
Whoa. And
Wow.
Fabi
Yeah,
blitzes
Fabi-
out Fe.
Fabi unfazed by all of this, but yeah, this is fantastic. We have basically by move the cumulative move 22. We have two positions in which white is a rook and a piece down. If we combine the two boards,
I've
And he
never
could have
seen
been-
anything like this.
yeah,
Look
I
at
mean,
these
bishop
positions.
takes b1 would have just been phenomenal to see as well.
So
This is
Peter,
one game. What's
white
the
on
other?
knight e3 with the idea of playing e4 just to trap
Yes.
this knight.
Yeah, if white plays knight c3, e4 here, he must be doing fantastically, probably strategically winning. Because
I mean,
yeah.
can't
This
allow
this
knight.
is. He goes e4 straight away, saying
Wow.
that tempi are more
love
important here than material. I assume. I don't know. I wanted to say I assume queen takes, but I don't know why I assume that. It does give black the c2 square for the knight to try to scramble back towards safety.
Fabi's still blitzing.
amazing.
By the way, so
Fabi-
much chess content. I feel bad talking about this, but Lawrence, why does Fabi still own that shirt? We've talked about this for years and years and years. It keeps coming back. It really upsets me.
Is he doing the? I need to have it on a larger screen. I can't see it on this small screen. It's very important to me.
It's the one shirt that we keep talking about.
He's had it for years. Since I've known him, he's had it. And when I was working with him, I begged him to get rid of it because it's just horrible. But
I hate that shirt. Tanya,
forgave
how do you
him.
feel about Fabiano's shirt?
It's definitely less exciting than his position right now.
that's true.
Yeah, good segue. All right, back to chess. So Ding does not seem to know this. He's taking time. Is a rook down? What's going on?
I don't know. I want to stick up for that shirt somehow. It's a perfect perfect lumbersexual attire, and I don't know why you're hating.
You stick to chess, I'll do the
Says
fun.
more about you, Peter, than about us.
I'm aware. I'm presenting a very large target right now, and as I always am, just due to natural size. But I still think this is you're undeservedly harsh on this.
He's given b7. Do you take and go queen f3, or what do you do here? So many options. He
But
took.
if you take and go queen f3, can't you then just take and go knight c2?
Yeah, I think that has to be the hope, because you really don't want to be playing something like knight e7. You have to start getting your things back towards normal squares.
Also, these strong players, sometimes they like to include a little check just to provoke g6. Not sure if that helps here. Maybe not, because bishop g7 is useful.
He just goes bishop g2 all the way back, saying that I now have enough strategic compensation to just have time to play, I don't know, bishop e3, queen takes a1, or maybe queen e2, bishop e3, and rook takes a1. Maybe it would be an even smoother transition. We'll see after knight f6, because I think the next move will show. Also, there's a small matter of something like rook e1 and bishop h3, but I guess with the b7 pawn gone, black actually has rook b6, which he normally wouldn't have in reply to that.
But then there are all kinds of d5.
Yeah, might be a little bit too slow, but then again, like attacking the pawn on e6 has also, apart from just trying to pick up a weakness, it also has a very definitive strategic advantage, because if the white bishop actually lands on e6, you stop black from castling. So I think that definitely was a move you could think of, but he does go queen e2 as was clearly one of the more natural options, intending either I don't know, bishop e3, bishop f4, bishop g5. All those moves will be a topic next move, and then we just pick up on a1 and say we have a pawn for the exchange. Your structure is completely destroyed.
What do you guys think, given the clock situation? Is Ding still vaguely in some idea of prep, or especially thinking how quickly he played c4 and went for knight c2? Does he have an idea of some vague sort of old prep, or do you think it's all now over the board intuitive play for him?
I think he's winging it. I don't think he's a bluffer who would take time like that in a rapid match. He looks very focused, just calculating. So he must have seen this c4 knight c2 idea, but he's clearly out of book, no?
I don't know. I don't think you'd be. He is down to 7 minutes, but
yeah. All right.
Also, if you're new to chess, this is a very unique situation because usually in top-level chess, we consider an advantage of, let's say, 1 pawn to be a giant advantage. So to have one game where one side is a rook down, which is worth like 5 pawns, and another game where one side is a whole piece down, which is like 3 pawns, intentionally out of the opening. Something that happens, I don't know how often. Never? I've never seen 2 games like this, if these are the 2 games.
Probably.
Yeah, side by side, I think this is extremely rare. And while looking at Fabiano's shirt, I briefly stared at my second screen there, and my second screen informed me that our on-site machines are extremely unimpressed with the choice of bishop takes g6, and they feel now that white is significantly better. And knight fd5 apparently is the first choice. But Maxim once again is playing so fast that you never know how well he's balancing the range of, I know everything about this position, or with the range of I don't know it, I don't know, I don't want to know. I want to play quickly and come what may.
Isn't that fast? He spent like 3-4 minutes. And
yeah, but considering how difficult the position is, you can definitely tank for like half your time here on almost any of these decisions. And bishop takes g6 has been played in like a minute. It does seem like the most obvious move in the position, but it also gives up a lot of your white square control and allows b5 with very, very strong effect. So I think it was definitely worth at least spending some time on other options. And knight fd5 has an added benefit, of course, of attacking the rook on a1, which might win you a very crucial tempo. If white takes on h8, black takes on h8, white probably needs to very seriously consider moving the rook away from a1. And that gives black time to play something like bishop f6, for instance, really holding everything together and starting to dream of, I don't know, queen d7, long castles, perhaps. So yeah, with these guys, you never know whether this is just Maxim feeling that he is good enough not to burn too much time on these decisions, or whether the machine on site is not strong enough and this is just correct play, which he is currently remembering.
of course, you know, he's out of book, 1000%. He's so kind.
Far too kind. Rook AB1 by Jan, and obviously with the idea of, well, just trying to get this rook into the game. But
yeah, rook b7 I think wins if you allow it. So
right. So queen
clearly Maxim is not interested in allowing it, plays queen d7. And but the problem for Maxim largely is that his position looks very stable, but apart from the move rook a8, e8, which I think he would like to make, it's extremely difficult to figure out where his pieces are going to get moved to. And rook b3 is a very venomous little move there, because I think the threat is maybe even instantly bishop takes d5 and then rook f3. Which might be mate if you allow it, because you will have to take with the knight. You can't give up on e7, of course. And if you take with the knight, rook f3 probably just wins on the spot, like rook f7 and bishop b2, and then the second rook takes on e7. It appears to be curtains.
Yeah, what do you think? Who would you take, Tanya, in this one, Nepomniachtchi MVL? What do you prefer, the suffering, or do you prefer being with the extra material, or do you prefer being on the front foot and having to be kind of precise to make your advantage or your initiative work out?
I think it would be kind of nice to be white in such a setup, because you know you've got a clear idea that you want to keep the pieces on the board and it's all direction king, and because you're a piece less, so I think it could be easier, especially with a shorter time control. Maybe in a classical game, this choice would change because you have enough time to sort of think of a precise way to come up with a defense. Like I was thinking of an option like queen I think king g8 is what has been played. But, you know, a move like queen e8 would come to mind to try and trade off the queens as well. But I think in blitz or in rapid, playing white might be easier, because it's clear that if you sacrifice a piece, you're going for the initiative, and it's sort of easier to play than in a shorter time format, at least for me. Then play precise defensive moves.
I think it's a lot easier to play this position with white, and in particular, in Jan's case, I would not rule out him knowing everything at least until b5, because he played those moves very, very quickly. And yes, of course, he is perfectly capable of winging it, starting from, I don't know. I mean, before a6, a4, he was still very much gaining time on the clock. So I think at that point,
well known even to me. So yeah, this clearly.
Yeah, and even the current position on the board, I would not rule out him just knowing what he is supposed to do here, because if you get to knight g6, which I think it is very, very normal to get to this position, you do check bishop takes g6, and no, I think one of those two actually having this on file, I think, is extremely, extremely likely. Both of them, I'll grant you that MVL probably is now on his own, but Jan, knowing at least the underlying motifs, would not surprise me in the slightest.
Once again, strongly disagree on either having it on file. These guys, they blitz out moves even when they don't have it on file. Them spending 5 minutes to get here, without knowing it, not happening.
Yeah, the move Tanya mentioned, queen e8, it was sort of long time coming, and you do need at some point to start driving this queen away from g6. I suspect it might even go all the way back to c2, not to give black additional tempi attacking it. And then just rook b7, and black continues struggling with the same issue. Queen d3 is what he goes with. That's a similar idea. Black just doesn't really have good squares for any of his things, and like you can play rook h7. I mean, that's just incredible. Like rook h7, bishop h8, rook f7 would improve your situation on the king side a little bit, but that's 3 tempi in which white probably will find something good to do on the other side of the board. Bishop h3 comes to mind as a very unpleasant move to face, because if black, let's say we go rook h7, white goes bishop h3. If you play e6, I think bishop g4. I missed g4. Sorry. Okay, then bishop
g4 exists. I was about to say.
I just blundered g4. My point was, if black plays e6 instead, then bishop d6 might just be devastatingly strong, because it's very difficult to stop rook e8. But yeah, of course, if you see g4, you don't play bishop h3, and I just missed that altogether.
Rook h7 played. Maxim had this one famous game against Morozevich in some Najdorf, where he also had a not very active rook on h7. So this is a known construction to him.
Yeah, that was a fabulous game. That Morozevich MVL game. He ended up winning it. I think after being it was like from move 15 onwards. Even when you read that game as an annotated game in some kind of a game collection, you still, I think, have more or less no shot of understanding what's happening on the board. It's one of the messiest games in modern history. Extremely well played by both players, despite the machine disagreeing with some of the choices. But you just can't play a position like they had perfectly. If you haven't seen it, do look it up.
In the other game, things have somewhat quieted down. Ding has recaptured a bit of material. He took that knight. Fabi developed his pieces, and now Ding has what, 1 pawn for the exchange?
But queen h5 is just such a nasty move. I quite like his position, actually. c6, rook c6 is probably not great. Although, I mean, rook f5 exists even in this position. But he goes rook f5 instantly, which is what I expected. And now, I mean, even the endgame might be very good for white after bishop h3, rook h5, bishop d7, because that rook on h5, I think, is dead. Bishop g4, I don't think the threat of bishop g4 can be properly met. Maybe bishop d6. I did miss bishop d6. But the fact that you can play even this, and of course you can also keep the queens on and play something like queen g4, or he goes queen e2 back, which is interesting because
They're
that
not going to repeat here, are they?
Nah.
Well, Fabi actually improved. Fabi actually moved the rook from f8 to f7, which I think counts very much counts as an improvement here. And Ding goes h4, just a general all-purpose good move, and also king h2 bishop h3 now is a topic to.
Boring. Ding has
Yeah.
compensation, but here, MVL, is he
Yeah,
being
this-
wiped off the board?
I don't know.
Wow.
I think
Bishop
he's actually
e5.
stabilized.
Queen d5, rook f7.
I think he's stabilized, and
E6,
a lot of
yeah.
material is about to come off the boards. Yeah, giving the lie to my statement that Jan very much is still in control, because I think he is now close to lost. 95.
Why
rook
isn't
f7.
this? Sorry, why isn't this just losing for what?
Yeah, I think this is just gone.
What did he do? What went wrong? So he.
I don't know. I briefly looked at the computer evaluation right about knight g6, and I've stopped looking since then. I'm completely on my own. I have no idea what was the misplay, if there was a misplay. But the current position, it feels to me like you trade on e5, you go rook f7, you have an extra piece for one pawn. Your king
Usually
is
when
now
these
safe.
things happen, they miss something very simple, like that e6 was a legal move or something along those lines, because
Nah.
there was no need to go for this, no? Like, even if you don't see a
Crazy.
breakthrough.
Crazy. Yeah, maybe black has just got many ways to continue, but taking.
Yeah, he doesn't even take on e5 straight away. Goes rook f7 first because
I like rook f7.
yeah, stops rook b6. In the other position, rook b6 would be mildly annoying. Now he's stopped that. If Maxim ends up winning this game, it will be, I think, quite upsetting for
Massively.
for Jan, because I think he was very, very excited to get such an interesting and also probably promising position out of the opening. And also, it's important to remember that they played the last sort of important classical, not the last, but I mean, not the final, but the last one played so far, the last important classical game of 2020, in which Maxim beat him in round 7 of the candidates, taking the sole lead from Jan, and that dynamic appears to have somewhat carried over.
Maxim has always had Jan's number. That classical score is like 7-1 or something bizarre in Maxim's favor. Somehow, yeah, I feel that Maxim, being the sharp calculator, is sort of immune to Jan's fireworks, and it's a weird dynamic between the two. Nepomniachtchi does not look thrilled, does he?
Yeah, I think you very, very rarely save positions like this. It's still not entirely a foregone conclusion, because both e6 and a6 are hanging. And if you imagine white, I don't know, picking everything on the 6th and then trading queens, black might not have enough pawns left to win some kind of an endgame. But yeah, obviously black should be in control here. It's just a question of finding a precise way to not lose too many of the little guys.
Lawrence, if you were in quarantine with your favorite choice, Jan Nepomniachtchi, and he loses that game now, you're there, you have 10 minutes to give him advice before the next game. What would you tell him?
You let your hair down, Jan, and go for it. Go for it in game 2. No, he'll be very upset. Seriously, this is the worst feeling in chess. Well, there are many bad feelings in chess, but it's the disappointment of being excited and then it all just dissipating in front of your very eyes. You get a beautiful position, the kind of stuff you love, the kind of position you love, in front of thousands of people watching, and then you just miscalculate or misassess something, and then you're just a piece down.
Yeah, I think in Jan's case, the evaluation of the position might even be somewhat irrelevant. It's just that he got exactly the type of thing that he likes about chess, and which I suspect he at some point analyzed, and then did not.
Guys, but isn't like white just mated now? I mean, it's kind of over, no? Because if you
Yeah, I mean, you can take on h6 with check, but then the king
Then
gets to
king
g7.
g7.
Yeah, and it runs out. You no longer have any meaningful checks. And no, but it's if black is just completely winning, which he does seem to be, it really shouldn't come as a big surprise, because he is a pawn up, and these things eventually start start becoming decisive in positions like this.
But it's really strange how, like you guys were saying, that Jan got this whole position that he probably was aiming for from the start, and then just played so quickly, and the whole initiative and advantage, I don't know advantage, but the initiative evaporated really fast for Jan, and it's he's taken like 6 minutes for the whole game, and just
yeah, him taking only 6 minutes we've seen before, arguably maybe even in classical chess, but. Yeah, it's a painful feeling, because I really do think that after BC, Rook A, B1, the position has to be at the very least very playable for White. And once again, what I've seen on my screen seems to suggest that White is just playing better, but I don't know how.
Maxime, he's used to suffering. This time he had an extra piece for his suffering. So to him, this was probably, you know, just business as usual, except this time he still had a bishop on G7, therefore just cruising to victory, French number 1.
Yeah, and in the second one, the queens did come off the board, but the position remains very, very sharp. And Ding now goes for some kind of a mating attack, which is very interesting to me, because I've been trying to calculate how to make Rook C7 work, and I still don't understand how we proceed after, let's say, bishop takes D4, because the king actually has quite a few squares. It's very difficult to. I mean, we always have the perpetual with bishop d6, bishop c6, rook d7, rook c7, but I would assume you would want more with white. And I currently don't see how to achieve that, because rook f7, it does create a threat of rook f8, but it runs into rook takes f2, and then you probably still have the perpetual. You actually aren't risking much even here, but. My question is, if we go back very briefly to the position after 20 and 28 king f8, there was an option of bishop e3 here. I guess rook c2. I missed rook c2. I thought we just lock out the black counterplay and we can play rook c7 next move, which would be quite attractive. So we'll see now, because they did get to this setup with bishops on d6 and c6.
Is there any chance that Ding really goes for it here and goes king h2 and just says, or is it just completely?
Well, I mean, I probably take and go h5, and once again,
and then I go g4.
So you really want to go all in on this idea?
Yeah, because if
but the thing is, what I want to say is
perpetual as backup anyway, right?
Yeah, you do have the perpetual as backup, but it seems like he just doesn't believe there is much else.
Just,
yeah, it might just be a draw now.
Yeah,
I think this counts as a slightly missed opportunity for Ding if this ends being a perpetual. But once again, without computer help, we can't be absolutely certain he missed anything tangible. And yeah, game does finish in a draw, so we only have the MVL game going now. What is queen e4? He is reestablishing the threat of rook g6 now, because the king cannot go to h7 safely. And after rook f2 check, he will just play king g2. But MVL goes knight f6, stops all of that nonsense. Queen
knight
c4
f6 is the professional move.
Yeah, and now we can even take on d2. I expect there's not much wrong with that, unless we're not blundering rook b7, because we can take. And after rook e7 discover check, we have queen d5. That was the one thing that was sort of possible to blunder here, but it does nothing.
So Ding Caruana ends in a draw, the battle between the world number 2 and number 3 in classical chess. Ding also happens to be the world number 3 in rapid chess, even though somehow I don't think of him as a rapid specialist. Maybe that's mainly because he's usually absent from the World Rapid and Blitz Championships. He probably hasn't played that much, but obviously he's good at any format, has defeated Magnus Carlsen in a rapid tiebreak. So that leaves us with these two guys.
MVL chooses rook f3, which is a little bit interesting, because I don't quite. I guess maybe rook d2 he didn't like rook f1. Yeah, allowing rook f1 was a mistake probably. He could have played knight g4. He had a kind of a cute option there of playing knight g4 with the intention of meeting queen takes g4 with rook f1 check and just picking up on b1. But I suspect rook f3 is plenty good enough. He just wants to put it on f3, safeguard it with g5, g4 next move if it gets attacked, and then just play king g7 and say, You are aware I have an extra knight here, right?
He's probably aware.
That's why he's saying that, yes.
I'm not sure. I guess the players are on the same Zoom call, but I guess they're muted. Actually, it's a question we received a lot. Can the players see each other? I would assume yes. I would assume they're on the same call and they can see each other's cameras.
Yeah, this is how things are normally organized with these online tournaments. Yeah, it's slightly awkward because it's not that easy to keep, unless you do it on 2 screens. It's not that easy to keep the Zoom call large enough to actually watch your opponent in real time, and the client open. But obviously, for somebody like Jan, who streams quite a bit, he probably does have a couple of monitors, so he can split the board and the Zoom call if he wants to look at MVL.
I'm pretty sure MVL has a couple monitors too.
Yeah, it's not as much of a sign of luxurious living as it used to be. I will grant you that.
Lawrence, how many monitors do you have?
I own 2, but I've been banned from putting up 2. I'm only allowed 1.
Wow.
That's it's rough times.
Tanya, what's your monitor count over there?
1.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I have to get you back to this position because, Peter, I really like that idea of knight g4 that you mentioned for Maxime, and I think it was just maybe really crushing. And now I'm looking at this position where he went king g2, and can black just go rook f2 and try and get that anywhere?
Probably, but what's wrong with g4, which is, yeah, this is, I think he just decided not to calculate anymore. I think he just went for the option which looks like the least calculating.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. We can't blame him for that. I do think knight g4 was a reasonable choice there. But yeah, I don't think what he is doing is going to put his victory in much doubt either. Rook b6 played, and he's really pushing it somehow. But once again, is there an actual threat? Can we not just play something like
h5?
Yeah, I was wondering about knight h5, but this is exactly what we want to avoid, I think. Rook g6 check, then we take on f7, we take on g4. And you're left with only 2 pawns, and one of them is kind of weakish on a6. And yeah, king h8, and I guess Jan just repins the knight with queen d4 here. Yeah. I would assume.
What does he want, knight h7, or who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, there's still some technical issues to be resolved here for MVL, because his position is a little bit cramped.
This is why I was saying, like, he had to finish it when he had the moment, and I think that rook f2 or this knight g4 idea was so strong, and you know, in times, yeah, maybe just directly, but even after king g2, Jan, I think he had the option to get this position. I don't know what happens after king f2 exactly.
If all else fails, we can go knight d5, discover check, and just win this rook on e6. Yeah.
Yes, that's great backup.
Yeah, I don't disagree. This is why I mentioned the move, but I still expect him to come through here, to come through. And h3 is, Jan really kind of is asking for rook takes g3 to happen, right? But maybe he goes g3, h4 and hopes to run.
Knight h5.
Brave Sir Robin. Yeah, king h4, queen f2, king h5. It's important not to take on g4, I think, because that makes creating a mating net a lot simpler. This might just be a draw of some sort, because the king just stays.
To all my pieces?
F5?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, queen f5. I go queen f5, queen g5, and maybe it's not a draw. Yeah, maybe even this wins, but I'm not altogether.
Oh wow, king h6. No, queen h7 and rook f5.
h7, f5, h5, f3, h3, and then I will have mate. But the important thing is that Jan is playing quickly enough that MVL now has to do these calculations on very limited time. He's played knight h7, and I'm kind of beginning to doubt he wins this game now. It's kind of bizarre. because you have to be very, very sure of this. Like takes rook e7 check. I think I might be forcing you to play rook f7, or as close as makes no difference. And now I take on a6. Maybe I don't know which one. Let's take on a6. I think it's very possible not to win this position with black. Those actually get annoying. Like I play a5, rook d2, rook b6. I put the pawn on a6, and I keep on kind of asking you to run towards it with your pieces, and then I will be attacking the pawn on. The machine probably wins this, but.
So why does black have to go rook f7 after rook e7 if I just go back with the king?
Yeah, I was hoping I can play. Yeah, maybe king h8 still mates. Yeah, because there's actually a threat of rook f2, rook f1, rook 8, f2 as mate. Maybe this is still mate. Yeah, if this is still mate, it's of course a different story, and it appears as if it is. Yeah, but then black is fine. Yeah, rook e2, we can now take gh and probably play something like rook g8, or even rook f6 is now probably very comfortably winning because we did not lose the a6 pawn. Yeah. Well calculated by Maxime in the end.
So he had to go rook e2. And obviously going passive here must be very good news for Maxime.
Yeah, now it's
versions. Yeah.
With the a6 pawn still on the board, I don't think you struggle too much converting this into a full point.
Agreed. Rook g6 looks very decent. Now.
And 140 for Maxime here has to be
plenty of time.
Plenty of time. You just don't foresee him, frankly, having any trouble at all.
King g2.
It goes back to f6. I guess he just wants to play rook 8 f7 and convert that way. I mean, either you allow the king to come close, or you get one pair of rooks off, and then really with the passer on the central file, there's no hope. Your own king is cut off on the f file. The a6 pawn is completely safe.
Very resignable, no? Would you resign here, Peter?
I probably would, yes, but that's a very poor benchmark, obviously.
Yeah, but there's not much to hope for, is it? Like, even if we blunder the a6 pawn, we're still winning now.
Yeah, we're probably winning without even the a6 pawn, but yeah, there's no need for that.
You just have to be. You just want to pick up d5 now and not blunder d5.
Yeah.
Do you think Jan Nepomniachtchi is suffering more from Corona than the rest of the gang? Because he likes to drive his car around Moscow. He likes to go visit people. While the rest of us, we're just at home anyway. Let's face it.
I don't know. I think his home setup is perfectly comfortable. He's not alone there. They have a cat, and I think they're fine. I don't think he is the most impacted by things.
Who's the most impacted then?
Good question.
Yeah.
Who is the most outgoing of these guys? Who misses the? I don't know. I would actually think it might be Hikaru, but he himself said no, so I'm now confused.
He said he never leaves his house anyway, so he didn't.
Yeah, but he does. He keeps on publishing those pictures of him on hikes, atop large mountains and things. And
Peter, maybe we can take a moment to explain to you how Instagram works. You pretend you have a beautiful life full of activities, of adventures, of travel. It's all staged.
I'm fairly sure these are not staged, to be honest. Like I'd be willing to bet good money those are not staged. And MVL does actually deliver mate to the king on f4 as we discuss. as we discuss here, Hikaru's outdoor activities. But yeah, like he probably is the biggest outdoorsman of in this tournament. But he himself was live on air yesterday saying that his routines didn't really change because he never leaves the house. So I'm shot dead, before I could even begin.
All right. Well.
So Maxime wins again. He seems strong in this format, doesn't he?
Very strong.
New openings, looks confident, cool, calm, collected.
Very, very strong. He's going to be a real contender for this tournament. And I believe Fabi against Ding Game 2 is about to kick off.
Yeah, they finished some time ago, so that does stand to reason. Yeah, there will be a bit of a gap between these two, and then they will sync up again by the third game of the day, as is the case every day. But yeah, this is a bad loss for Jan. Had he won this game, once again his emotional volatility goes both ways. He goes from happy to unhappy very quickly. We know that, but he also, I think, goes from unhappy to happy reasonably quickly. And winning a very nice sacrificial game, game 1 of today against his current biggest rival in the candidates would have cheered him up no end. As it happened, probably not the sort of exactly the kind of thing he did not want to happen.
Indeed. So Fabi with the white pieces against Ding. Is he going to go e4 and allow Ding, or are we going to see a Sicilian from Ding? He wheeled it out in the first round, or is he going to stick to his normal repertoire?
My money's on e4, e5 if Fabi takes this seriously. Sometimes we see Fabi going for knight f3, g3, and so on. But I believe at his core, he will play e4 in rapid.
He has played e4. I think the big question is whether the Najdorf experiment will continue or not. And
I think it will, because I think Ding thinks that this is a great opportunity to play it. And also Fabi's record against the Najdorf lifetime, I know this because I've been there, has not been that.
I think that actually has improved dramatically in the past.
It might have improved since,
few years,
of course, I left the scene, but
unlike his shirt.
Unlike his shirt. So Ding hasn't moved it. He's just getting.
He's gone.
Oh, he's played c5. Wow.
Of course.
The Najdorf is happening.
Of course.
Wow.
Of course. The Najdorf is going to happen.
Queen d3.
Okay.
It was on my list of cool moves in this position next to bishop d2, bishop e3, bishop g5, bishop e2, bishop d3, bishop c4, f3, f4, g3, h3, h4, a3, a4, queen e2, and queen f3. But it's still a surprise.
Also in connection with a4, what is happening with these people?
Queen d3.
Yeah, I think the lockdowns hit probably Fabi the most, because I think out of all of these players, I think he's the most outgoing. His life in St. Louis involves a lot of going out for dinners, going out to the cinema, going for lots of walks, and I think it's probably the hardest. He's not much of a streamer like Hikaru or Yana, so I think it's probably been the most difficult for Fabi out of these guys.
Yeah, I agree. It's fairly offline-y. You often see like him making plans with Lawrence Trent to get a nice, I don't know, foot massage, watch the new Spider-Man movie, these kinds of things. So it sounded a bit sad when he said the other day, I have a balcony, I go there for fresh air. It was heartbreaking. Fabi, we're all with you. And now he's playing a very weird setup. What is this?
I love
Queen
it.
d3, a4, Queen g3. He's
Why
mixing.
not?
This looks
Yeah,
like...
it's some kind of a very strange licorice all sorts.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
is very, very, very surprising. I don't quite understand what we want here as white. Black is really making perfectly reasonable moves, which.
But Lawrence, this is like your games where you have to castle, then play Queen e1, and then Queen g3 or Queen h4. He got there very quickly without wasting.
Yeah, I mean,
time.
he just took a shortcut to get there. I mean, isn't this just the best system ever against the Najdorf? Can't move the bishop from f8. Center is solid. D5 met by d5. I mean, this is isn't Queen d3 a Paco speciality?
Yeah, Paco was all over queen d3 and queen f3, but mainly queen d3. He's played many games with this.
Yeah, I mean, this is just gorgeous. And Ding, you know, he's going to think, hold on a second. If I'd have just played one e5, my bishop on f8 would be out already. And now there's no easy way to get that bishop out. If you have to go h5, it's kind of a concession. If you
I'd go knight h5, just, you know, give him a tempo, but not Ding. Ding just goes bishop e7.
Wow.
That is an interesting option as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually probably the best option, because you pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, he goes rook g8, rook g2, and says this probably hurts you more than it hurts me.
Exactly. It's probably
true,
right.
though?
Well, is it true? I don't know.
I think it is, yeah, because castling into rook takes c3 and d5 will be. I mean, you're not going to castle kingside, and castling queenside will sort of instantly prompt some kind of tactical retribution. And I mean, these are very sharp positions, but I would much rather play them with the black pieces.
This is the sort of position I envisage Veselin Topalov being extremely good at with black.
Yeah, and if Fabi just castles kingside as he has, black also castles kingside, it seems like this is just such a perfect, you know, hedgehoggy. It's not even a hedgehog because white doesn't have a pawn on c4.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very nice position for black in general.
So how to proceed here then, Peter? You're all obviously looking at the breaks. You want to prepare, go knight.
It's actually not that hard. I've been thinking about this. The reason this is probably not that bad for white is that in most cases, he will be ready to meet d5 by just taking twice, and the pawn on a6 will be giving you. Because what you want to do is you want to play d5, and then of course you want to take with the knight and then the bishop.
Right.
You do not play d5 to create an isolani for yourself on that square. And the pawn on a6 will be giving him a little bit of grief.
But you know, Tanya.
But it's possible to prepare it, of course. Yeah, there's absolutely no reason.
Tanya here would just put her queen on a8 without thinking.
No, I would actually put my bishop on g7 maybe, but I'll have to take care of it.
Also bishop f8, g7.
Yeah, there was also, before Fabi played knight b3, there was the typical hedgehoggy idea of bishop d8, c7. But now the pawn on d6 is hanging, so you cannot do it, at least not immediately.
I have to say, White's play, and I understand Fabi is a pretty good player, but it reminds me of junior tournaments like under 12, when you had learned your Najdorf, your Scheveningen setup, and your opponent would kind of be clueless. They would castle kingside, then play f3, then bring the queen over, play a4. You would go knight e5, knight c4 with black. They would take, you take back, then you go d5 later, and you win. So this is a very, very half-baked mix of things for Fabi. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, it's still a playable position. I would hesitate to say that white is even worse, but
I'm not saying he's worse. I'm saying he's playing like a rank beginner.
Yeah,
so the positions as his white can absorb.
I was kind of, maybe I didn't say it out loud, but my original impression was that white probably just doesn't equalize. Maybe he does. Maybe it's actually very difficult to commit so many sins in the opening with white that you don't equalize by move 17. But yeah, it's not that impressive so far. I don't think I'm entirely on board with this approach.
Ding's gonna be thinking, I've been wasting my life playing e4, e5. I can just do this. I get this position. What's going on out there?
Yeah,
95 now is the way, I guess. You always play 95 here. Although we then have to think about f4, don't we? At least.
And bishop takes b6.
No, the bishop takes b6 is now.
Bishop b6, we do have the usual bishop takes e4 counter tactics, so I don't think that's worrying. But I think the biggest problem with 95 is that I don't know whether we actually want to take on d3 or play knight c4. So, I mean, it's a useful waiting move, but it also sort of prompts f4, which is maybe not the stupidest move in the world.
No, sure. But I was thinking there, can we take e5? So what do we do? Queen a8? Bishop d8?
I don't know. Bishop f8 is rarely a mistake in these positions. He goes with knight h5, which is maybe prompted specifically by the bishop going to g4, because now queen h3, he will have the option of playing knight f4, which wasn't there previously.
Is that a draw for queen
It's
g4? Does he go
it's
back?
a bit of a draw. Actually, queen h3, knight f4, we have queen g4, not even queen g3, which will ask black to play. I mean, if black doesn't want an immediate draw, he will have to make some kind of weird, somewhat uncomfortable moves. But
in the other game, they continued their debates of the winner MVL in the lead 1-0. And it looks like everybody has reached this quiet agreement that against the winner, we all play h4.
yeah, and this is where he played c takes d4 in the previous game, and he was better against Fabi. So it's quite noticeable that he refused to do that. But I have a feeling maybe they're still actually repeating their game from the candidates.
It looks very close. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same position.
Yeah, it looks incredibly close to what they had in that final round of the candidates.
They're both stubborn guys, so would be quite like them to keep discussing same ground.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that Jan misremembered his analysis in that game and felt he was completely fine before he started just playing poorly and lost. So I guess he has refreshed his memory of this line and is now going to show us the supposed improvement. The move rook b8 was mentioned. I remember that much.
Oh. Just to explain, you were on site at the candidates tournament in Yekaterinburg, working for another participant, Kirill Alexeyenko. So you are privy to all kinds of gossip behind the scenes, inside information from there, right?
Yep. That's actually...
It's really Love Island over there. Gossip Central.
Too hot to handle.
Did you ever watch Love Island, or what's it called? What's the one you said I should watch, Jan, on Netflix?
Too Hot to Handle.
Too Hot to Handle. Tanya,
that's your type of show. There is a girl from Essex. You'll feel right at home.
Okay, so MVL is actually the first one to deviate. Up to d4, b takes c5. This is their game from Yekaterinburg. And there, MVL played queen d1, which is not the most obvious move in the world, but that's what he played. And knight e2 is his supposed improvement, which appears not to have caught Jan necessarily by surprise. But as we've already established in game one, him playing unbelievably quickly does not always mean that he is quoting his analysis. Rook d1 is a cute little move, I guess with the intention of rook d2, rook b2.